Go team!
Okay, here we go.
People.
Good evening. Can everyone hear me okay? Thumbs up? All right. My name is Michael Kleber-Diggs, and I'm an instructor with the Minnesota Prison Writing Workshop, and I'm also the president of our board of directors. On behalf of our staff, instructors, mentors, our board of directors, and our students, it's my pleasure to welcome you to Beyond Bars, Voices of Incarceration, which is the 9th annual Minnesota Prison Writing Workshop student reading. This year is not like any other year, which simultaneously goes without saying and also cannot go without being said. In March, the global pandemic arrived to America in earnest. Yesterday, we saw a record number in infections and the virus is surging. Here in Minnesota, on Memorial Day, George Floyd was killed by Minneapolis police. His death inspired an overdue reckoning on race, and the necessary work for justice and liberation continues. As difficult as this year has been in general, it has been especially difficult for people in prisons, for our students. The isolation is worse. Available resources to stay safe and healthy are limited, and the infection risk is greater. Let's please take a moment to hold in our thoughts all those who live in prisons, all those who work in prisons, and all those who love someone who lives in a prison or works in a prison. At MPWW, we had a few classes underway in March when all the programming was canceled due to the coronavirus. We recently began our fall semester with a few classes that we'll conduct through email. While we waited to return to teaching, our students kept writing. As I said at the outset, this is our 9th annual student reading. We call it Beyond Bars because the power of our students' work overcomes barriers. Their words hold wisdom and strength. Their words include messages we need to hear now more than ever. As Audre Lorde said, in the forefront of our move toward change, there's only poetry to hint at possibility made real. Tonight, we have poetry, fiction, essays, works of imagination that help us see the current world in all its realness as we imagine and work toward a better world. In that spirit, and encouraged by our students' passion and resilience, let's begin. As we begin, you may have noticed that our venue changed. We're not meeting in person this year. We want to acknowledge what's difficult about that. We miss all the added dimensions of our gathering in person. We miss the conversations that we held before the reading, during the intermission, and after the event. We miss seeing friends and meeting new people. We miss the handshakes and hugs, the photos, and the warm and vibrant energy in the room. We miss the books and broadsides for sale in the back. I miss the snacks. I have snacks here at home, but they're not the same. We also want to thank all of the readers for welcoming us into their homes. That's a gift. We appreciate it. We've taken pains to avoid interruptions during the program, but many of us live in space with other humans and other living creatures. Our hope is that our housemates who join the program tonight will be welcomed in a spirit of grace. We also want to acknowledge the good within the difficult. We're still gathering. We are together. Our students' work is here, and it is amazing. Friends, family members, supporters, some of whom live in other states and many of whom have not been able to join us in previous years, are here tonight. And owing to the work of a great organization led by Emily Baxter called We Are All Criminals and their Scene Project, tonight, you'll get to watch videos of our students and pictures of our students as their audio is shared. Beyond Bars indeed. Before we begin the official program, I have 10 short programmatic notes. Actually, I think only 9 short programmatic notes. First, our audience includes friends, family, and former students, Department of Corrections staff, writers, and supporters, this year, guests from all over the country, and I just wanted to welcome all of you. Second, I'd like to take a moment to recognize our staff. Jen Bowen, Mike Alberti, our social media director, Sue Fong, our instructors, our mentors, our board of directors, everyone who's associated with the Minnesota Prison Writing Workshop. A confession. Most years I show up at the event venue with a few notes that have been prepared for me. I share a few opening thoughts, eat a few snacks, then ask around until I find out where the after party is. This year, I've had the blessing of access to all the work that goes into making an event like this possible, and it's significant. So I know I just did it, but I want to thank again Jen, Mike, and Sue for all the effort that they put forward to help us share our students' work. Note number 3, this year, like all years, the event is casual. Especially this year, it's casual. Feel free to get up, grab some cookies, fold your laundry, etc. 4, unless you're a part of the program tonight, your microphones will be off until the end of the event. After the program is over, we'll turn microphones on so that we can all make joyful noise, which will go into the video that we share with our students. 5, Believe it or not, our students' work is the second most important part of tonight. The most important part of tonight is the feedback that you provide to our students. When we gather in person, we hand out cards that we ask everyone to fill out, and then we return those handwritten cards to our students. We can't do that this year, so we provided additional pathways for feedback. In the chat, you'll find a link to an online document that you can use to leave feedback for each person after the work is read. We'll try to leave space between each reading for you to enter a few comments, but if you're not able to do that tonight, don't worry. That link will be open through the day tomorrow, and you can go in there at any time to make notes and to share feedback with each one of the readers. We'll make an effort to share that link in the chat as we go through the program tonight. And if that doesn't work, if you want to send us an email, comment on a social media post, just whatever works well, we'll grab it and we'll make sure that it gets to each student. 6. We are also going to offer an opportunity for everyone to provide feedback at the end of the program. You may see a few signs that are being held up. If you saw our social media posts in advance and were able to make a sign, great. At the end of the program, please hold it up. We'll go Zoom room by Zoom room, and we'll take photos of those so that we can also share those with our students. If you haven't had a chance to make a sign, you can do that during the program tonight, or post it on social media tomorrow and just tag us in your post, and we'll grab your sign and add it to the collection. 7, there will be a short intermission with music. That'll give you an opportunity to stretch, but please don't disappear. We'll play a song, maybe 2, and then we'll come back in so we can keep tonight's program short. 8, this activity is made possible by the voters of Minnesota through grants from the Minnesota State Arts Board and the Metropolitan Regional Arts Council, thanks to legislative appropriation from the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund. And 9, last, it is my pleasure to introduce my boss, my direct report, my dear friend, and our founder and artistic director, Jen Bowen.
Hi, can you guys hear me? Mike nod. Yes, people can hear me. You guys, Michael's being so funny because he's actually my boss. It gets really weird sometimes. We never know. We just never know. It's hard on a friendship. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm getting really weepy watching all of you in the chat, especially this year of all years, to know how much you being here, hearing these words is going to mean to the people we really care about who are on the inside. So thank you so much for being here. My role here is to just say a few quick thanks and to try not to embarrass us. And so I'm going to do that very briefly. Please know that you are in my kitchen and I did dishes for you all. And that's not something that happens every day. So this is a super special occasion. We can't do this work without the Department of Corrections. The education staff goes in and you guys, they have to do a lot of work to take our emails and to process all of our packets and our questions and get our books in to the students. And we are one of many, many, many organizations and education groups that they work with. So you'll see your program that I think Mike sent you over PDF. Please take a look at it and see all the names of the people who have been working tirelessly for years and don't get a lot of credit for it in the way that we do. They don't host parties for themselves like this, but they do a really good job, and we couldn't do the work we do with our students without their help. And that includes a lot of the former education staff that we worked with for years and years who are gone now. They're also listed in that program, which I think Mike just rechatted in your PDF. You guys, I would guess that most of you, it looks like right now we've got about 424 just admitted Molly, 425 people in this call. And I would guess like only 30 of us would be here if not for Sue Wong. She's sort of a super hype woman and also just really energetic and full of love for this group and our students. So this reading could not happen without her. We're super grateful to her for that. You guys are going to see videos tonight. Some of you were at We Are All Criminals birthday bash, would definitely have already seen a few of them, but those of you who weren't there, holy crap. These videos are incredible. They're beautiful videos of beautiful writers. And we are grateful to 3 Volts for doing those videos. They did them for us without charging anything, and they're beautiful. Also tonight, you're going to see our students' faces and you're going to hear their voices. And that is because of Emily Baxter, who is an impeccable photographer who sees people in just beautiful ways. Michelle knows. So every photo that you're going to see tonight was taken by Emily Baxter, and also the audio, she paired it because she's able to get their calls from inside. And so this reading would not be anywhere near as dynamic as it's going to be without her. And then while we're on the subject of We Are All Criminals and Emily, you guys have no idea how much that partnership has changed our work and this organization in the last year to 2 years. Paul Schnell as the commissioner and this scene project that we're part of with We Are All Criminals has made it so much easier to amplify voices and show the humanity and the faces of the writers that we've worked with that so many people have otherwise not had the opportunity to see or know in the way that we know them. And please know that We Are All Criminals, when they partner with the artists on the inside, they know them deeply and personally and well. And that really comes through in all the ways that they share their work and their words. And it's just an incredible blessing to have that new dynamic part of our organization. And so you're going to see that for yourself. But let me just say about that too, perhaps the most significant piece of the We Are All Criminals partnership is that these writers on the inside finally have, I mean, they've always had control over their own narrative, but they haven't had control over everyone in the world seeing that narrative and hearing it. And now they do. So please give a big shout out to Emily and We Are All Criminals, and you can find them on weareallcriminals.org. I think somebody running the chat will figure out the right URL. You guys, we have a really good board, and maybe it's a bad thing, I don't know, but I think it's a really good thing. I don't mind board meetings. Like, I don't dread them at all. I look forward to them. We have a very supportive, a very kind board of just really lovely humans who love this work and support us in all the ways that we need. And maybe more importantly than anything, they support our students. And Michael Kleber-Diggs is the board president, and we're never, ever going to let him retire because he also serves as the MC, and there's no one else in our group that could do that. Not one single human could do it in the way that he does it. We will change the bylaws if we have to keep him on as board president for the rest of his life so that he has to always MC these readings because we can't do it without him. I know it's going to sound like I'm being hyperbolic, but it's actually true. The teachers and mentors in our program are some of my favorite writers, favorite activists, favorite people. And I feel like I'm the luckiest person in the world to get to know them. And it chokes me up sometimes when I see the packets that they send our students because they're thoughtful and challenging and artistic and beautiful. And I really can't imagine knowing better people in the world than the instructors and mentors in our group. And so for those of you in the audience who are family members, please know that I think your loved ones are working with some pretty incredible writers, and I'm super grateful for all of them. And then Mike Alberti, who is MPWW's managing director, you all can just give him a big applause in the chat, because if it weren't for him, it is really possible that we would not exist. Like, artists, get a bad rap, like we move on the speed of art, whatever. But Mike actually works hard behind the scenes quietly all the time. And I think sometimes the best work in the world happens with that kind of person who doesn't need the acclaim or the spotlight, who just does the work impeccably every day with integrity. And that is how Mike works. And I'm pretty sure if you see MPWW a thriving quality org, it's because of the work Mike is doing and never taking credit. And then Michael talked a little bit about what our students are going through. And you guys, it's a really hard year. I think we're all worried about them. We're all sad for them. This reading is bittersweet tonight. It makes me super happy that 435 of you are here to hear their words, but they're sending us packets through mail on handwritten paper when they're able to write. Most of them are not able to have visitors right now. Many of them are locked down. They're not getting out of their cells often. Some of them are ill. Some of them are occasionally hospitalized. I can't imagine, as hard as this year has been on all of us, what they must be going through. And so thank you for being here and holding them in your thoughts, and for holding their family in your thoughts, because for those of you who aren't as familiar with this, when you're locked down in prison, it means you can't get to your phone calls and you can't get to your email, which is its own system. So just a lot of disconnect and a lot of fear and isolation. And if our students have taught me anything, it's that they are more resilient than they should have to be, but also more resilient than I knew we could be. So they're hanging in there, but your comments tonight are going to mean a lot to them. And so I thank you so much for being here for them. And then finally, you don't even know what you're in for. I have the biggest pleasure perhaps of my career. It's right up there, getting to introduce you to Kevin Reese tonight, who is going to read an introduction on behalf of one of our students, and then he's going to read his own work. Kevin is the founder of Until We Are All Free. He is one of our board members. He is the director of criminal justice at Voices for Racial Justice, and he's also a fierce activist and a beautiful poet and just a warm, incredible human. And I'm so proud that I get to be here to introduce him. So Kevin's going to be up next. He's going to read Jeff's introduction, and then he's going to read his own poetry. And you are super lucky to get to see him tonight if you've never met him. So Kevin, it is all yours.
Of course, thank you, Jen. As I was sitting there listening to this and being in this space, it is kind of different. I was watching a video from last year. I had been home officially about 4 days at last year's reading. FYI for everyone, I had a full-fledged anxiety attack last year there. It was because of the love. I had never been to one, and when I came off of the elevator, I wasn't sure what I was coming to. And that was one of the days that I left there overwhelmed with love. And I've had worse problems. I'm like, I'll take this anxiety attack. I went home and slept well with that one last year. But what the MPWW has been, for me during this year, I tell all of our brothers when they call, is the manifestation of art. We used to write because we wanted to be connected to each other, and we wanted to be connected to our community, right? And through this, we're here tonight, 430 something people, we all here, because while we were in prison, we said, you know what? We a lot of things, but guess what? We also artists too. And I'm so proud to be here tonight as an artist. And I'm gonna be able to tell the brothers, I don't know all the answers is true, but there's one thing that's right. That is absolutely true, that there's a community that exists that loves you and will embrace you. I'll be able to tell them that. So this next thing that I'm gonna get an opportunity to read is Brother Jeffrey Young. Jeffrey Young is someone, I told him that I'll say this any chance I speak his name in privately or publicly. Before I was beginning my activist and organizing work, Jeff was already doing it when I was looking for a Northern Star. Jeff was one of the people who were doing it. He was doing it through the Minnesota Spokesman Recorder articles that he was writing in prison way back in the day before I didn't know how he was doing that. Before I even thought I could do such a thing, Jeffrey had laid the blueprint out of how you should do that. So to be here tonight with Jeffrey, and I want to welcome Jeffrey here in this space with us here tonight, and he's going to tell you why this is significant to everyone for being at this ceremony. So here we go. What have you came looking for? I ask all of you again, what have you came looking for here tonight? Good evening, everyone. My name is Jeff Young, and I'm honored to introduce the 9th Minnesota Prison Writing Workshop Annual's public reading. I've been an MPWW student for 5 years. I've been a writer since elementary school, and I've been creating meaning out of all of the sensory input I've experienced since birth. In other words, I'm a born story creator, the same as all of you, the same as all of you. Yes, I'm in prison. The etymology of the word prison traces back to the Latin verb prenhernde, which meant to take hold of, seize, arrest. So in ways other than physical, haven't we all at various times felt imprisoned by something, some idea, some psychological phenomena, some emotion. By way of MPWW name, we are gathered in ceremony today to celebrate prison writers. Whether they are family, friends, or unknown, in some ways, being called a prison writer may be viewed as limiting or othering, yet it can also be empowering, maybe even liberating, for it can also be perceived as meaning in the darkest of places where forces are constantly fighting to diminish or disappear us. We prisoners had the audacity, the power, the mental fortitude to transcend those forces, to rise, to write. Saying I'm a prison writer is similar to what MPWW instructor Siobhan Williams Shin shared with me in her class through Lucille Clifton's poem titled, "Won't You Celebrate With Me?" Lucille wrote, "Won't you celebrate with me? What have I shaped into? A kind of a life. Come celebrate with me that every day something has tried to kill me and has failed." Or for my more rugged brothers and sisters here today, as the late great Tupac once said, "Of course I call myself a thug." That's because I came from the gutter and I'm still here. We are all the same, like you. I survive something every day, even if it's something as simple as a 5:30 a.m. alarm clock. Like you, I worry about my loved ones contracting the coronavirus. Like you, I was overjoyed when our city experienced the love and brooms and dustpans worked by the best of humanity. Like you, I beamed with inspiration when a young man like, like formerly incarcerated MPW student Kevin Reese stood guard to protect the community during the uprising and stood with the community as well. Like you, these damn masks piss me off, but I swear I wear it anyways, just like you. Some thoughts and maybe some experiences, but in my being and in my spirit and in range of emotion, I am you. If you remove a drop from the ocean, is that drop no longer of the ocean? After placing that drop back in the ocean, is that drop at all distinguishable individual? I believe we are all beings of one spiritual ocean or universal energy, having a temporary experience as a human droplet. One of the pathways to touching the truth of our relationship, our belonging, is through storytelling and story listening. This summer, a bird watching Mr. Cooper met a dog walking Mrs. Cooper in New York City Central Park, and a cell phone video forced the nation to reconsider an experience long dismissed, ignored, and invalidated. This summer, the voice of unheard was joined by many of those who previously failed to hear, and those ones who failed to listen, created meaning from all of the sensory input that they received. And together, with the unheard, they became story creators, writing the continuations of George Floyd's story. As an ocean of one spirit, their wave of energy moved the world. It's a terrible pain when one's truth and experiences are dismissed, ignored, and ruthlessly, unjustly invalidated. It renders the individual or group invisible, non-existent, less than, just like prisoners. I write and participate in the MPWW not as an escape, as many would think drives prisoners to write, but to seek community, spiritual connection. So have you figured it out yet? What you have come looking for? I'll tell you, you have not come to this ceremony simply to hear my story, Glitter Squirrel story, B's story, your family member or friend's story, or any of the MPWW students' individual story. Robert Wall Kimmerer wrote in her book, Braiding Sweetgrass, that ceremony is a vehicle for belonging to a family, to people, and to the land. What we have come together in ceremony to celebrate tonight is a sacred and spiritual act, a communing. You have come looking for your story through us, in us, with us, prison writers, family, friends, and fellow beings. On the surface of every individual story, the vehicle that delivers may be different, but beneath the surface, the package delivered, the gift of emotional experiences is the same: joy, fear, inspiration, and uncertainty for everyone. There is an ancient maxim that says, I am because you are. Your spirit brought you here tonight to be moved, which means to connect emotionally, spiritually, to be validated. Search your soul, and I believe you will find that to be the truth of what you came looking for, to be in relationship, to be as one spirit, to be a droplet self, even for family members and friends of tonight's featured MPWW students. Even you come for more than just to support your incarcerated loved one. You also come to witness and participate in others finding themselves, their truth, and your loved one's stories. So you too came looking for belonging to something greater. So with that, I hope you all enjoyed tonight's ceremonies, journey together, whether through strength of community, of storytelling, story listening. We transcend all of the forces to trying to kill the power of our spirit. And we move each other through our words to you, your feedback to us, and your virtual gathering with each other here tonight. Salute to my man, Jeff. So, in the spirit of that, I had told Jen like last week I was going to do another poem. And then I read that this morning, my brother Jeff and I decided to do another poem. So, this poem that I'm doing tonight is an ode to something that I read about prison poems. A poem don't mean nothing if it don't scrape his knees and bleed, shake coals, and make snow flash red. What is a poem if it don't laugh like a pack of hyenas, crushing bones of gazelles? A poem ain't got no sauce without one of the guys under the building hustling with some Jordan 6s on his feet and a razor blade under his tongue. Fuck these poems if they ain't bloody boots on the couch or a handkerchief sewn out of bull skin. I can't personally stomach another poem that walks an old English lady across the street. Listen, Mr. Charlie, don't toss me no damn poem written about no blue sky, no red sock, or no white man. A poem ain't worth a raindrop in a summer storm if it amalgamates his steel or integrates its origins. A poem should be the cracked kneecap of a runaway slave, barefoot and bleeding. A poem should freeze you black in the front of a barrel. And any significant poem should be written with your left hand with a subtitle like, fuck Norman Rockwell. Chris Cabrera shit is better. Was just spray painted concrete. He created the Nile River. And all of my poems, I'm dedicating them to Leroy Jones and Bobby Womack and shipping them to Chicago first. Thank you all. Thank you all. So next, I want to go back to something Jim was saying earlier about the progress that we see now with the Scene Project and where the MPWW was at in 2020. Of course, I get the calls every day of the brothers calling, being actually living in units with 30, 40 people confirmed to have corona, and they live in unit with bars, and they just got them in their cells. And I was just talking to some of my brothers yesterday about, how that feels and what can I, support can I render to them. But we want to talk about the progress that we've made to be able to see their voices come here tonight and be able to see their faces. Just 5 years ago, this wasn't possible. Trust me, y'all, I know I was there. 3 years ago, this wasn't possible. Trust me, I know I was there. This is literally the result of this amazing community staying true to what we were here to do. Art, we told them art, we told them art, we told them art was going to help human beings become whole human beings again. And that's one of the honors of sitting on the board tonight. So this next person that I'm gonna introduce everyone to, I remember when I first came to prison, I was like a shorty, and Bino was like one of the older guys. And I remember like in a brief conversation about when I asked someone who was him, what they told me is like, no, bro, just a genius. Don't even worry about him. He's just a genius. Like, so I never even had a chance to really rap with Bino in person, but he's always someone that I knew as a legend. So I get to introduce him next. And I ain't gonna say too much more about him. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna open up the door and I'm gonna let Bino in and he gonna tell y'all the rest.
Fire in the hole. Mirror gazing reflective scab of a man. Cliff diving, Tweety Bird, Berry, and two-bit rascal. Pack mentality, tree climbing, scoundrel in a brothel. King of the mountain, fountain of the youth, searching parable of a person. Who are you to be critical of our mental hospital when we created it? Come on, reach into this hole. Save me from your G.I. Joe's hostile takeover of Barbie and Ken's dollhouse, from being a snake oil peddling door salesman with nothing to offer, 4 jokers in a deck of cards, conniving con man from that strychnine snorting, whip cracking, world crushing, hush money pushing, prostitute wrangling, nightmare monster, creeping orange face. Save me, back flipping domestic terrorist, soon to be dinosaur in the Apple store, you high speed driving bad babysitter with a fifth of liquor, risk taking conservative anomaly of a role model, 2-gun toting deep thinker, reach into this hole and try and pull me out. Save me from flesh cracking miniature warheads, from the savory taste of illegal success in the phrase, he's better off dead, from the rain-filled days, racism maze, from the downswing of a cynic's verbal sickle and being euthanized with euphemisms. Save me like you save fine memories, you mirror-gazing, conceited, vanity-indulged, mohawk-wearing, duplicitous thing. Unlearn my skewed facts and what I think a breaking point is. Uncapture my mind from the fake sound of freedom ringing. Unravel my thread from the line of our misguided free will. Save me, death-defying couch potato, flapping fish in a frying pan, you ice cube in Arizona heat with the hope of a burning phoenix, evaporate into nothing. Heartbeat of a tortoise, pace of a sloth, you're not ready to save me from the fate of an empty funeral and a dry eulogy. You unreligious man of the cloth, street priest with a faulty flock, Bible reading heathen, calorie counting glutton, and sin committing hog in a trough, street heretic, reach into this hole and try and pull me out from being a love paraplegic, from being emotionally crippled, from being a bastard child of distorted lust, from biological clicks ticking in reverse and Hallmark card confessions. Save me, wanna be Casanova, wanna be outlaw, wanna be musician, you reflecting miscreant in a mirror, gremlin with a grenade, living in harmonious madness like Tupac and Sebastian Bach riding in a Maybach. Save me from a dream deferred in the hues of discrimination and the labels of the nation of incarceration. I'm not your inmate, I'm not your offender, I'm not your client, I'm not your patient, I'm not your reflection, I am your reflection. Now reach into this hole, come on, save me from dilapidated houses, crumbled relationships, smiles filled with potholes, darkened streets of disappearing adolescence, from ignorance's bliss in the voice of my head, from my ego's power trip. Save me, I dare you, wrench down into this hole and try and pull me out.
That was Bino. And as Kevin shared, an absolute work of genius. I'm going to pause just for a little bit to allow you to spend some time with that, with Kevin's work, with Bino's work, and also to share comments. I'll ask the team that's running the chat to drop the link again for people to use to share feedback with Bino. Give you just a minute to do that. While you're entering comments, I'll just share that I had the great honor of teaching a class with Bino and with the poet who will come up next. And I just remember the task of trying to share feedback that could be useful with a writer who's already there, fully inhabiting their voice and really just aware of how they want the work to take it, where they want the work to take us. It was a real honor. The next reader is Fong, who was in that same class with Bino. And Fong is quiet, humble, and a very talented writer and visual artist. Here comes Fong.
The first piece I'm gonna read is called In American School, and it's in the form of a ghazal. I cried my first day in American school, Denver, Pennsylvania. No one looked like me in American school. My spirit flew back to the huts in Thailand's refugee camp as tears washed my face in American school. Where were my friends with dry snot across their faces? Why my parents left me alone in American school? An ocean blue-eyed little girl clenched me like she was kidnapping me. I did not know then and there that it was called hug in American school. We became best friends and I kidnapped her every day. She giggled coyly when I enunciated A, B, C, and 1, 2, 3 in American school. I once yelled at my parents from my bamboo cot that I hated them for leaving to America. Now I love them dearly for getting me in American school. When I have to move again, I despise them once more. I could not leave that blue-eyed girl behind in American school. First, it was my cricket and grasshopper, now her. Who's next? I pray to ancestor to keep me here in American school. Fong, go and hug her for the last time. Soon, she will forget about you at this American school.
We'll take a moment to reflect on Fong's beautiful poem. If you've seen some of our publications, very often they'll include visual art, and often that visual art is done by Fong. He's helped us with our cards that we mail out and different things. So in addition to being a talented writer, he's also a very talented visual artist. Our next reader is Louise Waakaa'igan. Louise is a poet, and earlier this year, she released her first poetry collection, This Is Where. It's my pleasure to introduce Louise.
Hello, everyone. Bonjour. Oh my goodness, we're here all separately and individually, and I'm in Wisconsin right now. But oh my goodness, you are, I can only see like 4 or 5 of you at a time, but you're all so beautiful. I am just so caught up in emotion. The words that we've heard tonight are true. They're unfiltered. They speak to not the differences that we have, not the differences of how we look, of where we've been, of if we've been incarcerated or not. They speak to us as human beings who are in a crazy world right now, who are mourning, who are suffering, who are carrying on, who are keeping strong, who are praying for people we don't know, who are connecting through love and through collaboration. And it's a beautiful thing. And first of all, Fong, you could never be forgotten, ever. I just have to say that. Kevin, your words tonight, you are home. And that is beautiful. And anxiety is real, and yet love is stronger. And one day at a time, we make it through. I'm so excited. I'm just beyond ecstatic. And thank you to everyone who's shown love. Jennifer Bowen Hicks, oh my goodness, woman. There isn't enough words, right? Emily Baxter, there is not enough words. Every MPW staff member, and if I say 1 or 2 names, I'm gonna forget 1 or 2 names. And so you know who you are because you have heart, you're here, you've been here. So thank you. In Ojibwe, we say miigwech. Miigwech. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. I can feel the love through the binary delivery, if that's how I say it. But we're here. So I'm going to read out of this small collection that I'm so very thankful for. Thank you for supporting it. Thank you for reading it. Thank you to my family who stood by me through those times that you read about in those poems. So thank you. Whew. Oh my goodness, you guys. Okay, so I'm gonna read. This is called You. Though I honor our curls, I refuse to comb them. I hate this insecurity you've left within me. I made peace with the manic depression. Yet I stumble on a broken foundation, staying close to my siblings and their children. I disassociate with your name, our name, but my son carries house well. I blame you, all my suspicions, infidelities, betrayals, abandonment. You prove faithful. The sadness of your exodus scars my entire body. I walk out on others, Dad, desperately mimicking you. I don't know if I've ever read that out loud to how many people. No, don't tell me how many people are here. That will just freak me out. Don't do it. I'm alone in my little pseudo office here. We're gonna just keep that. Oh my God, 446. Oh, you told me. Oh geez. Okay. So I think if I can have like maybe 1 more minute of your time, I will read something new, which I have been home now for almost 10 months. And it's amazing, it's crazy, it's fast, it's discombobulating. And the biggest question that I get, the most question that I get is, how do you deal with a pandemic, right? I think that's what we're all thinking about. And yet we're all dealing with the pandemic. So I don't feel alone in all of this lonesomeness. I don't feel alone with that. I think it's bringing us together. It's bringing us closer in a socially distant, acceptable way. Yes. But yeah. So this new piece, of course, doesn't have a title. I'm not the best with titles. But it's a glimpse of me. In the midst of this new returning, my contemplation pattern remains stagnant. I have scribed my future with dry ink, looking into past moons to guide me further home. I'm walking slower. I'm walking taller. I am walking. See, I walked those concrete plains. I stumbled all the way up that mountain, shedding tears I have carried since that basement in 6 Mile. I remember the darkness. I'm carrying that darkness, only with taller, bolder shoulders. Miigwech, ni mama. Miigwech. I am walking. Thank you so much to everyone on this link. Thank you to MPWW. I love you with every little fiber of my being. I love you more than the Green Bay Packers. And if you know me, that's a lot of love. That's a lot of love. But thank you so, so much. I'm so honored to be in such a company of some extravagant humans. I love you, and I am so honored, and I'm so excited to introduce this next writer who I've heard about for many, many moons. And I've always like placed his writing kind of like at the top of the ladder. There's always a delivery. And the first couple times I read some of his words, Zeke's words, I was almost left confused a little bit, yearning for where is this coming from? And so tonight I believe we get to watch the video and we get to hear his own words. So enjoy. And I don't want to screw up the title, Summer in a Coffin by Zeke.
All right. Zeke, this is an excerpt from Summer in a Coffin. We, who are locked down again. I'm watching a man's funeral on TV. By we, I mean the entire door shut behind us, hard-boiled eggs served in a cell penal population of the great state of Minnesota. Sitting alone in shackles, I spoke to my mother's ashes. Hers was a different kind of death, the kind that starves slowly. My entire family, they come as crows now to visit me here. Pick at the yellow where the ammonia has scorched the grass, flip a channel and you are an orphan, watching another man's funeral on TV. This is what it is. The captivity business. Prisoner. Imprisoner sucking every last ounce measured in seconds until we are bones, or air, or walking with a piss bag attached to us. Summer in a coffin, with a window. I watch for the crows now.
Oh, thank you, Zeke. Louise, thank you so much. So much power in those words. I'm just going to keep holding on to what it means to walk only with taller and bolder shoulders. That's beautiful and powerful and so important for this time. Thank you. And thanks also to Zeke. Please share comments for both Louise and Zeke. And while I'm at it, I want to just let you know that Zeke had a poem published in LitHub yesterday. I think we'll drop that in the chat. The poem is called Before I Was Anything. You can also find it on our social media. You got a sense for the power of his words in the poem that he just read. It's also wonderful to spend time with his writing in print, so you can see the magic that he's weaving along the way. Very talented writer and a real blessing for our program. I'll wait just a moment to allow people time to make those comments. As we shared, this is a very important part of the program for our students, an opportunity to hear back from you and get your reactions to what they're sharing. So thank you for taking the time to do that. Next, it's my pleasure to introduce Chaun Webster. Chaun is a poet and graphic designer, an important thinker in our community. His most recent collection, poetry collection, Gentrification, won the Minnesota Book Award for poetry. It's my pleasure to introduce Chaun.
It is wonderful to be here this evening. Thank you for that introduction. Thank you for this invitation to be a part of sharing this space and hearing these words. You know, it's always a pleasure to be able to engage with the writing that's coming out of MPWW. And it's just such an honor to be a very small part of anything that's going on through MPWW. So thank you. Thank you. I am reading two poems this evening. The first from David is Instructions for Breath. First, do nothing. Be no thing. Inhale. Easy. Easy. Let it go. Pull out. Spread your ribs. Let flow where will. push outward, expand, flesh follows, squeeze tighter, press in, press harder, let go, air trickles in like water, become the pool, not the dam. Flow. Let air go from you and back in you like the sea. Be the sea. Moon will help you be. Breathe. Now take in breath like a baby. Hold, suck in, snot, milk, bubble out. Breathe while you eat. Baby at the breast. Breathe while you read. Miles Davis on the brass, in and out, same damn time. Circular flow. Now stop. Hold your breath for 526 seconds. And I'm holding my breath now for a moment. This next and last poem is from Fausto. The poem is called At a Distance, a Bridge Appears to Build Itself. The first thing I see out the window on the third floor on Stillwater Prison is bars. There is a consistent corrosion at the crux, too high to maintain. A spider sways in the wind, winding, protected by the chicken wire window. Somehow, this feels like home. Out through our yard of concrete, softball diamond, dying patches of grass is the wall with razor wire at every level. What's closest could not exist. The treetops are without trunk, grass ungrown, no road runs to or from, the world has fallen. I could see the other side of the St. Croix, beaten, bruised, jaundiced, and moldy. Above the riverbanks runs a road with speaks of glitter blown about in mirage seeming surreal. Through the frame of the power line, cages connected by coils and tightrope emerges a bridge, building itself. The crane shafts stab the sky, the pillars rise in a queue coming closer. 15-minute phone calls, handwritten letters via snail mail, visits on occasion whenever possible. Now we have tables, kiosks, music, email, reform. The world comes closer. And those are the two poems that I have from these wonderful writers tonight. And next, I will be introducing Erin Sharkey.
Thanks, Chaun. I have the amazing honor of reading an excerpted piece by Glitter Squirrel called American Songbook in Springtime. Wednesday, the 11th of March, 2020. Today, my husband Dan told me that the last white female giraffe on the planet was dead. I've never seen one, but feel like I've lost a friend. I'm working on a list essay and listening to Patti Smith, People Have the Power. After work, Sarah, Wendy, Lisa, and I went to the visiting room to clean the windows. While we were there, we wiped down all the chairs and kid tables because apparently the virus infects people by laying on surfaces. Soon after, we got back to our living unit. Everyone was called down to the day space and told all visits were canceled until further notice. All volunteer-led activities are now canceled. Most of our activities are volunteer-led. No church or faith-based studies, no NA or AA meetings, no graduations, no 5K or second chance run, no native powwow. I'm listening to Bad Decisions by The Strokes. Monday, the 16th of March, 2020. Wendy and I sprayed down phones and pens in the day space. I did not use germicide. If soap kills the virus on our hands, why wouldn't a general cleaner do the same on the surface? I've been typing a cover letter to the Sun magazine. 2 women are really sick in the unit. Went to the gym after lunch. Computer lab was canceled. Everyone received a 1 1/4 ounce bar of antibacterial soap in their mailbox. Listening to Staying Alive by the Bee Gees. Thursday, the 26th of March, 2020. Yesterday, the Olympic Games were canceled. My neighbor, Elaine, has a dry cough. She has been self-quarantining for weeks because she's 86 years old. As of yesterday, she was quarantined officially. Sergeant said we can't come to her door anymore. She's already isolated by age and mobility. I cried. The word quarantine comes from the Italian quarantana, meaning 40. It was a biblical reference of separation, 40 days in the desert, 40 days of Lent, etc. Crap. I just spilled salsa on my sweatpants and my laundry day is not until the 30th. We have to be on a 5-day laundry rotation since last week. A nurse and doctor came to Elaine's room at 12:30 and swabbed her nose. Another nurse came with cough syrup about an hour later. At 6:48 p.m., Sergeant told Elaine they were putting her in segregation. He wouldn't let her bring her tablet to play a game or her denture cup to keep her teeth safe. Nothing extra. I don't understand that because she isn't in segregation as a punishment. Why is she being punished? I've never been to segregation, but I know the beds are narrow and it is cold. No TV, 1 phone call allowed a week. Kelly and I sent Elaine cards. I made her one that said, if I told you once, I told you 1,000 times, stop getting into trouble, stay out of seg. Sarah sent her a card with this shirtless cowboy sitting on a horse. On the inside the card, it said, I got you this card because I know how much you love horses. It is the first day of baseball season, not happening. Wrote a poem about puffins titled Stars of Seaboard Circus, listening to Get Lucky by Daft Punk. 1,194 Americans are dead. Friday, 3rd of April, 2020. Yesterday, everyone was offered a paper mask. I am one of the few to wear it. Our textiles department is making masks. They have an order to make 3 million. Staff and residents are snapping. Everyone seems stressed. As of April 1st, Elaine is officially off quarantine. Started working on an essay about Ultra Faulkner. Ellis Marsalis died on the 1st, genius of jazz. Bill Withers died at 81. Now there truly is no sunshine. I'm listening to Dear April by Frank Ocean. By 3:36, 6,921 Americans are dead. Tuesday, the 7th of April, 2020. Everyone's anxious, worried about new roommates, new environments. Before 1 p.m., there are 6 A-levels, an alarm stopping all prisoner movements due to some emergency medical or an act of resistance. Segregation is full. People have been refusing to go into their newly assigned rooms. The guards are not happy about the moving either. I've been rewriting my Faulkner essay. I question why I bother writing any of this. What is the point? Maybe all writers feel this way. Listening to Time Stands by Nathaniel Radcliffe. Today, 12,700 Americans are dead. Tuesday, the 14th of April, 2020. Listening to Home Planet by the Scrunchies. It's my last day of wiping tables in the gym to help with physical distancing in lunchrooms. Everyone who's not working, which is everyone, but cleaning crews, food service, textile workers, and balloon folders now gets a stipend of $30 every 2 weeks. People who are working towards their GEDs are given homework every week in the units and are paid only if they finish and have turned it in. My new neighbor has a face tattoo. Her favorite expression is "fuck it, motherfuckers." She is loud, but she also has a quick smile and an optimistic laugh. She holds the door open for people as they leave the building for lunch. I'm rereading Raising It in the Sun, typing an essay called Trajectory Beyond the Pale about racial disparity while listening to Persona Non Grata by Bright Eyes. By 6:12 a.m., 23,649 Americans are dead. Friday, the 1st of May, 2020. Dan said 49 people are dead at St. Teresa's. In the 258-bed nursing facility, 130 people tested positive. My mom isn't in the nursing home section, but has a senior apartment right next door. I can't get a hold of her. I typed 2 poems in my room. The computer lab is still closed. Listening to Bob Dylan's I Contain Multitudes. I think that line comes from Whitman. It feels like rain today. Found that Dee's son, who was shot last week, was shot by police. Wow, I assumed his death was by someone in a gang. Stash, a woman who lives down the hall, found her brother overdosed and is in the hospital with no brain activity. 37 years old. It's too much. The depression is real. Yesterday, the governor put a stay-at-home order in place through May 18th. I find it interesting how many people on TV are talking about how isolating that they have felt during this pandemic, about how it is damaging to their mental and physical health. Most people are with their families in their homes, have access to phones, computers, cars, food delivery, Netflix, their pets, and nature. I hope they remember those feelings of isolation when they look at prison reform. Prison is sterile isolation 24/7. A pug named Winston has the virus in New York City. Today, 65,577 Americans are dead. Monday, the 1st of June, 2020, my dear friend Milton now has COVID. He is 96 and is quarantined at the vet's home in Minneapolis. I keep thinking of Miles Davis's Witch's Brew. Over 105,000 Americans are dead. Last week, Mr. Floyd died a few miles from my home. My God, my city. I'm thinking of the words of Brian Stevenson. My intention is in liberation. When you disrupt silence, you make people nervous. The conversation has shifted. It is time to disrupt the silence. Thank you.
Erin, thank you so much. We're going to take a short intermission. During the intermission, you're going to hear a song by one of our students, Will. The song was composed in a songwriting class that was led by Adam Levy, a popular musician here in town. Adam, the song that we played at the very beginning of the program, just as we were entering the Zoom rooms, was an Adam Levy song. And we're grateful to him both for his art and music and also for the classes that he teaches with us. Brief intermission, stand, stretch, grab a drink, and we'll be right back.
I am awakened from the dream. To my eyes, things are not what they seemed. In my efforts to cross over, I stumbled in between the world and who I'm supposed to be. Together we are shackled at the throat, in their hopes that upon our words we will choke. Should they try and cast you over, you will not drown alone. I give my pledge so there we remain afloat. As I am awake awaken from the dream. To my eyes, things are not what they seemed. In my efforts to cross over, I have stumbled in between the world, who I'm supposed to be. I reclaim what they have tried to steal. Broken, incomplete, I cannot hope to heal. So I walk among the graves to acknowledge that they are real. And I will gather up the mourning that they have labored to conceal. And I'm gonna stand on the truth just as it has been revealed. Because I am awakened from the dream. I say, yeah, 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 yeah. Ooh, now soon, I don't know if I'm alone. Not alone, but I know. Yes, I am awakened from the dream. To my eyes, things are not yet what they ought to be. So I will take up this burden that was left here for me. 'Cause I am awakened from the dream. Yes, I will honor the forfeit that my fathers left to me. As I am awakened from the dream. Yes, I am awakened from the dream.
Thank you, Will, and thank you, everyone. Welcome back. We're going to try to move things along a little bit faster in the second half, not the content, but the space in between the content. So what we'll ask you to do is just keep an eye on the link. Remember that you can send feedback tomorrow as well. However you get it to us, we'll capture it and make sure it gets to the readers. As we head into the second half, I just want to quickly acknowledge every year as we prepare for this event, we have the same conversation. Really want to make sure that we focus on our students and not on the organization. That said, I was able to negotiate one sentence about our annual fundraiser that's coming up. And here's that one sentence. Ready? Our annual fundraiser begins tomorrow and runs through Give to the Max Day on November 19th. Semicolon. Please look for communications from us regarding our annual fundraiser, which begins tomorrow. Semicolon. Our work is not possible without your support. Semicolon. Thank you. Next up is Antonio Williams. I have to share my very first MPWW class. Antonio was in it. I don't know how I did as a teacher, you guys, but it's not about me. I can tell you Antonio's work is wise and it flows like a river. There's just a real rhythm that dominates in his work, and I'm so excited to introduce Antonio.
Thank you, Michael. You did great as a first teacher, so don't worry about it. This night is really special to me. MPWW is really special to me. I've been out 120 days now. Everything that Glitter Squirrel wrote about, I was right there with her. I just left, brothers, going through it. It's tough in there right now. And like Kevin Reese said, I just got off the phone with a couple of brothers too, visiting, halted. It's tough. So please support, letters, real letters mean so much. These words are powerful, so please use them. The piece I'll be reading is called What Color is Freedom? It was created actually in a writing workshop that I did with Kevin Reese. And it started out as a prompt. So, freedom is the color of a pregnant mother's breath, hues of a baby's first smile, blended with the heart-wrenching scream of her mother upon its death. Its color is the raw, flaky, burnt skin of a melanin-deprived body, praying to the sun, hoping to get a little darker. It's the angst bleeding from Black bodies after being mutilated, castrated, and raped. It's that fiery red orange seeping through the fingers during a failed attempt to hold dignity in after being called a boy, well into your 50s. Freedom is the same color as those purple, black, and white spots at the back of my eyelids after I had my head rammed into a wall by a couple of prison guards. It's the same silver as the handcuffs that kept me from fighting back. Freedom is the color of that mythical rainbow that has all the shades of black and brown in it. It's the gradations of safe havens that makes Minnesota nice for some. And it's those blends of dark, dank, and devious destinations, alienated from Main Street, where concrete's depressing hues of gray sometimes painted a sterile white cages millions of bodies. But it's so much more. I never thought about freedom as a color. It's a beautiful and scary concept. The truth is, for generations, freedom has been a color, a pigment. This designation has bound freedom, has stolen its meaning no matter how clear the textbook definition is, regardless of how many times religious scripture uses it to bring together profound messages that are meant to edify the spirit and allow one's soul to soar past its temporal shell. For too long, freedom has been dictated by a certain class. Those in black robes, uniforms, and suits take freedom from the shining souls clothed in many shades of brown skin. What is the color of trauma? What is the color of pain, of mental anguish and heartache? Is it the color of the person or thing that caused it? What is the color of faith, of hope? What is the color of the mind, which has proven capable of overcoming seemingly insurmountable circumstances? It must be the color of every human being given one. Thank you. Up next is the poet B.
My name is B, and this poem is called The Self as an Unlit Wick in Bed. The self as an unlit wick in bed waits for warmth from the inside out. Lank body, a corpse pose under polyester's blanket itch. My restless head crackles to plastic pillow like the gritted language of snow crust underfoot. Flakes corkscrew December's cold beyond bar-straddled windows. Lamplight the color of saved letters yellowing at their edges. Yes, a horizon line between my body and concrete ceiling where I spend my prayers. I ask the God of falling things how ruin makes a home of such places, how snowflakes become the salvaged words of night's erasure. I look up at the unframed family photos taped to the wall, corners curled with age. Notice a thief has stolen my face from each one. I forget my name. Think it sounds something like a harsh winter exiling anything green, lush.
I have the honor of introducing Barbara, aka Miss B, who is my student at Shakopee. Miss B makes me want to be a better person, honestly, though. She always keeps it real, but with so much love. Her care for her friends at MPWW, community, the program is just so evident. And of course, that care transfers to her writing. She's a storyteller to the highest degree. Now presenting a poem by Miss B.
My name is Barbara Curran. This is an excerpt out of one of my short stories about my mom, Magical Feet. I was born in the corners of Tennessee, raised on the edges of a state line where no one cared, no one but Mama. Before the roosters would crow, Mama would rise to begin her daily chores with only her children in mind. She in one bed with the 9 of us in the other with periodic visits from Dad. By age 4, I knew Mama's routine, her every step all too well. I would watch her every start on every morning. Her routine created my routine. Her ways created my beliefs. Her past became my path, and her wrongs became my rights. We all obeyed Mama Golden Rule. Do not rise until I call, she would always say. I was always the first to rise. Mama's feet were my morning and nightly alarm clock. They were magical. Faithfully, they awoke me every morning by heavily slapping that warped and swollen, dew-damaged plywood flooring, echoing loudly to my ears. They were rough, tired, with much sound, with a hard toughness to themselves. The mattress sprang creaked. I heard the scuffling of Mama's feet across the plywood flooring to the waste bucket where she would daily sit to say her morning prayers. Oh, Lord, yes, hallelujah. Please bless me with these here chitlins. I thank you, Lord, for all things and everything, oh Lord, for allowing me to create this plentiful and tasteful breakfast that you alone, oh Lord, that you keep me strong, all this you've given us. Keep me strong in front of my chitlins, as it's been 3 days for me. Not enough food for us all, oh Lord. I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining, rather repenting for not doing better, oh Lord, not accepting better, not preparing better, oh Lord. And Lord, please help Bob keep her mouth shut. As the dust of light of the darkness creeped into existence, I could see the shapes and sizes of the speckled blood trails left from Mama's feet. The floorboards, the splinters had invaded themselves through her tough skin while completing her chores. Still, she continued. The splitting of the boards allowed spurts of twigs to grow up and intrude into the inside of our shack. But like a lawnmower, Mama would shift her stubborn feet, catching and pulling the root of each and every twig on her path, gripping them tightly between her toes, uplifting, yanking, and snatching them from their roots. See, I told you Mama's feet were magical. Thank you.
Now presenting the real Miss B.
Hi. Oh, wow. I have so many thanks to give to MPWW, all the instructors. I think I've had 90% of all of them, and they're all been super great. Magical Feet was an excerpt from a small book that I was writing about my mom. And the whole purpose of Magical Feet is to show what greatness and wisdom and learns you can get from even the worst of situations. Mama always had so many phrases, and one of my favorite phrases from her was, if you want to understand who you are, where you need to go, where you came from, what your wrongs and your faults are, or what even her faults as a parent, she was like, put it on paper, write it. You know, my mom was illiterate, so I didn't know a lot of words. And but I knew I needed to put it on paper. I had so many words in my head. It was all scrambled. I had headaches all the time. I would write a word here, a word there, and I didn't know the big words. Once I got to prison, I walked around with pencil and paper all the time. And I remember this one person approached me and she was like, "Are you a writer?" And I said, "No, I wish I could never become a writer." I was so quick to tell people, and I told her, I said, "I'm a woman of very few words. I'm not a writer." And when I speak from the South. I have this Southern dialogue, and I don't think people understand me. And she said, "No." She said, "If it's all in your head, you just need to get it on paper." She said, "I think you're a writer." She said, "I think you need to join this organization called MPWW." And she sit down and explain to me what it was. And you have to understand, when somebody sit down with you, we locked in 2 hours, we're out 2 hours. The 2 hours you come out, you're trying to cook, or you're trying to do your laundry, or you're trying to do all kind of other things in 2 hours. So for her to take her time to sit with me, that meant the world to me, because I understood how valuable time was. Once I got into MPWW, because of her, I was like, she would always ask me what was wrong. And I was like, it's been 3 years and I can't get a good poem out. I can't get a good short story out. I always get interrupted. And she said, "Well, if you want your words to be good, you have to give it time. You have to take the time to give it time." And I would write here, I would write there. I was working 5 days a week. I was getting off 7 to 3, working out to 4:30. And I realized after she told me that I wasn't giving it time. I didn't have a scheduled time, and I didn't give it the time. This next person, that's Glitter Squirrel, it is my honor. Because of her, I can honestly say that I am a writer. I give it the time, and only because of her. I thank her so much. Her words are so impactful, so powerful. She observes and tells a story. She can just take you with her on any journey. So please, I welcome Glitter Squirrel.
I need to know what is behind the red swastika on the back of her neck, on permanent display that hates. The Catholic, Jew, atheist, political dissident, gay, mentally ill, physically challenged in me. I shut my door, but unable to shun. Compassion tested, we make conversation, because I need to know who is behind the swastika, and I see her brown eyes. Will we speak of youth in poor company, chemically induced decisions and weaknesses, or straight up fascism? She usually walks alone in the courtyard. I don't want to love her, and I don't, but I learned that I don't hate her like I do her tattoo of the red swastika on the back of her neck that hates me.
So beautiful and so powerful. And Miss B, thank you so much for your presence, for your words, for your gifts, and for your efforts. It does take time. And that's an important lesson. I've seen people absorbing that idea in the chat. Thank you. Next up is Sam Stokley, who's a poet and also one of our instructors. Sam?
Thank you, MKD. It's an honor to be here. Miss B, welcome. Antonio, welcome home. It's nice to hear everyone. Nice to be here. I am honored to read the beginning of a story by writer Abel, who I've been blessed to be interacting with for over a year now, and his mind is just, it's unreal, the layers that this guy's mind works on. And this is the beginning of a story called An Old Man in Ale. The easiest thing Walter had ever done was to wake up on that morning, a stage, to feel his back cracking like a shell and see it giving way to wings. The most beautiful thing Walter had ever done happened also to be that. He was an age where it was said that the horizon was fast approaching. Soon it would move past him, and in time he would see the other side of the world. The setting sun would swallow him and perhaps bring him up in his next life. Forget the fact that those wings were useless. It had been known for millennia that man had become like the flightless bird, a carrier for the vestiges of evolution, a collector of refuse, a dump. Yet Walter sat at his bedside, admiring the feathered protrusions, even though he couldn't help but feel he might be in for another surprise. And about half of 1% of the population, if old age hadn't already killed you, there was a chance you'd sprout some biological anomaly, or appendage as they had come to be harmlessly known. Horn-like protrusions, maybe a tail. For Walter, wings. But in the 1/2% who did, 1/3, not one, but two of these entities. Wake up, move, Walter, move. Far from home, at a warlord's opium field, a fire roars, looking at the sky's blue as it leaps wildly. Human figures seen across the fiery field seem to dance with the tongues of fire, gesticulating in and out of sight. Walter set the match and lit the fire. Now he watches. This isn't going. If that doesn't make you want to read the rest of that story, I don't know what will. So that's Abel, and please send him beautiful feed, beautiful matter. And I am blessed to introduce Kennedy, whose poem Wasifu Waiu, the Epitaph of Death, is actually coming out this month in Agni. And so you're getting a VIP reading of this and show love to Kennedy. Thank you.
Kennedy, Wasifu wa Marehemu, the epitaph of death. There will be no roar of drums summoning mourners to my funeral. The great horn of the rhino will not sing my name. The women who love me won't be there to bathe me in milk or plant the red flowers that will eat my blood. The elders won't plant the giant frame tree that will guide my spirit. The sacred black bulls won't stomp my grave like they did for my father, his father, and the fathers before him. The great python won't sleep on my grave in homage. My name will not be carved into a spear. My heart will not lie in the belly of the warrior drum, which rumbles on its own in war times. If this is exile, I don't know what to call home.
Kennedy, thank you so much. Amazing. Next up is Sarith. Sarith is reading Corpse Watching.
My name is Sarith Bowen. I'm reading Corpse Watching. The river is swollen. The current is strong. Corpses float by all day long. Some corpses catch in the thicket. Some corpses catch in the reed. We don't want their spirit hanging around, so we give them the push they need. Some corpses are tall as Caucasian. Some corpses wear blindfolds. Some corpses' hands are tied behind their back. Some corpses are beyond recognition. Cadre Chaun called these corpses the CIA spy staying behind in Phnom Penh. Spy sabotage sabotaging the revolution. Onka flushed them from tunnels where they'd been hiding like rats, he said. But Onka knew their plan drove them from their dens. Corpse watching provides excitement. Corpse watching is filled with fear. The corpses are someone's father, brother, sister, mother. Sometimes corpse watching brings tears.
Thank you, Sarith. MPWW is blessed with many friends. One of our best friends is coming up next, Michelle Fernandez.
Hi, thank you, Mike. Hi, everybody. And I will go ahead and introduce Capital B, written by my son, Jeffrey Young. It is a prolific poem, and it will be read by the awesome Mr. David Lawrence Grant.
Thank you, sister. You know what? I had to smile, Yana, when you talked about how special it is to hear Capital B the way it was written by Mr. Jeff Young, to be joined in with a chorus. We worked a little bit on trying to figure out how we were going to replicate that in Zoom world, which ain't easy. But you know, we're going to do the best we can with it, right? You know, in those of you who are going to join in the chorus, you already know who you are. If you look in the upper right-hand corner of your screen and enter gallery mode, then we'll all be able to see and hear you when you chime in unison, okay, as the chorus. So hopefully we can make that work. So you know how this goes. Every time you hear the phrase black men or black man, y'all holler out capital B, okay? In African traditions, many African traditions, prayer is described as the power to make things happen. And I believe with all my heart that every poem, because poems are about the intentions that we breathe out into the universe, that's exactly what a prayer is. It's exactly what a prayer is. And so you need to know that this is going to be performed tonight, going to be read by us as a celebration of the fact that the intention behind this poem has come to fruition out here in the world. Because when Jeff wrote this poem years ago, if you consulted, you know, the great gatekeepers of the English language, and you looked in a dictionary, it told you that if you were referring to black people, you had to use a lowercase b in order to be kosher. And Jeff said, you know, the hell with that. When you refer to my people, God damn it, and you refer to me, you best use a capital B. All right. And so that's what this poem is here to celebrate. So without further ado, it all started with a word. It all started with black man.
Capital B.
It was all fine until the end of the sentence ended with black man.
Capital B.
Capital B. The problem, according to my 9th grade English teacher, was the capital B. It's just an adjective, the teacher told me. Another in a snaking line of racial diminishments of black men.
Capital B.
It all started with a word. It all started with I am. I am more than an adjective leaped from my deep African throat, deeper than the roaring Atlantic that swallowed my ancestors' leap to a freedom that only death could bring. I am the word when God said be, and I was black man.
Capital B.
My black is no hue or pigment. I've seen cola nut, coca bean, baobab bark, and Sahara colored men, but I've never seen Crayola black skin. I don't accept your European trademark label. Nah, teach. When I speak of black man,
Capital B.
I speak of a culture. The culture of kings like Sunjata, queens like Hatshepsut, warriors like Shaka, billionaires like Mansa Musa, engineers like Imhotep. I speak of the wisdom taught in Aksum. I speak of Black spirituality, Black food, Black universities, like Grambling State and Timbuktu, Black language and Black fashion, Black love and self-determination. Yeah, you know what it is. Black power, Black power, Black power. I am not an adjective in the sentence of life. I am the proper noun. I am the verb, object, subject, and the predicate. So give my culture its due and spell Black man.
Capital B.
No, don't give me nothing. I'm demanding and taking. I ain't asking, and I don't need your correcting. When you see capital B, bow down and let my culture be. For we are Black men.
Capital B.
Created in the image of God, Black men.
Capital B.
The cradle of civilization, Black men.
Capital B.
The father of all cultures. We are Black men.
Capital B.
Black men.
Capital B.
And amen.
Amen and amen. Oh,
We knew that was.
you guys, I am so excited to introduce Vaughn, who will close out the program part of the night. I just can't wait for you to see what's coming up. I'll be back at the end to just guide you through a few administrative things, but mainly, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for taking the time to enter comments. Up next, Vaughn.
My name is Vaughn. Langston Hughes said, "Hang yourself, poet, in your own words, otherwise you are already dead. When you allow someone else to paint your narrative, you are what they made you to be. When you have the opportunity to tell your story in your own words, authentic and sincere, you give someone the opportunity to truly hear you, to truly see you. I came through these doors as a child, literally. It's been 24 years since that child came through those doors, and I promise you, who I've grown to become is the man my mother dreamed I would be."
Thank you for joining us. If you have signs that you made for tonight's reading, now is a great time to hold them up. We're going to go from Zoom room to Zoom room, taking photos of the signs. We will share those and your comments with our students. This time together has been a blessing for our community, and I thank you for joining us. I thank all the students for their work. I thank all the readers for the heart and life that you breathed into it. Thank you, everyone, and good night. I think we're coming off mute. So if you want to clap or say thank you, we should be able to hear you.
Yeah, let's cheer.
Thank you. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for believing.
was wonderful. It was wonderful. Thank you all so much.
Wonderful.
Really.
Amazing. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
I
Good
miss you
night.
all.
Thank you so much.
Good night. Good night. That was beautiful.
Good night.
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 Thank you. Friends, we love you. Nice meeting all of you.
Thank you. Thank you, San Diego.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Peace and love. I'm sending a video to some of the brothers, man. They sending y'all some love. Peace and love. Peace and love.
Love your show. Peace and love, Kevin.
Yeah, peace and love to all y'all.
Love from
Thank you.
San Diego.
Thank you so much.
Love you.
Thank you, Bertie. Can't wait for your book. Michelle, I love your sign.
Those were some of the best poets I've heard this year.
Thank you. Yay, so true.
Hey, everybody watching this video, we miss you so much.
Absolutely.
We love you all. We love you all.
We miss you.